Good morning. This is Mr. Barth. I have had a discussion with Ms. Samarco, Mr. Richards, and Mr. Rosa, and we're finding some common mistakes through the 7th grade, and I want to address those here and give you a couple more examples and see if we can't work out some of these kinks. All right. So on Monday, we had a combination of rectangles and triangles on the homework, and it seems like most of you guys are pretty darn good at the rectangle problems in the composite figures. However, when it comes to the triangles, we're finding some mistakes, and those mistakes they come in several different forms. One is figuring out the side lengths of the triangles. One is remembering to divide by 2 when you use the triangle formula at the end, or multiply by half, whichever way you want to call it. And lastly is writing a plan. Okay? The plan and writing it out is very important to getting these right. These are longer, more complex problems, and they're going to continue to get longer. So making a plan is key to getting it right and getting all the details. Okay? Each individual part of the problem is not difficult. It's getting all the parts right that is where we're having our issues. All right, so this problem is find the area, and I got this weird looking shape again. This is a composite figure. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is a pentagon. All right, and I have some options here as to how I'm going to divide this shape up. Okay, I can divide it like this, which many of you were doing on Monday's assignment, except I saw this written, okay? I saw rectangle and I saw triangle, okay? Folks, that's not a triangle on the bottom there. That's a trapezoid, which then requires the trapezoid formula, okay? So if you're going to divide it like that, that's fine, but then you have to use a trapezoid formula. I personally think the easier way to deal with this is to draw it and actually make a triangle and divide it this way. Okay? So you do have options, but depending on what option you chose, you have to use the appropriate formula. You can't just say, oh, it's going to be a rectangle and a triangle, and then split it up a different way. All right. So I'm going to make my plan here. I have a rectangle, and I have a triangle, and I'm going to find the areas of each, and I'm going to add them together. My rectangle formula is base times height. My triangle formula is 1/2 times base times height. And again, if you want to use the base times height over 2, that's fine. Okay. All right, now I got to fill these in. All right, so for my rectangle, I can see this right here. Do not just multiply these two together because they're sitting right next to each other. Okay, this is a rectangle. If I were to take this out, and if I were to draw this over here, and I would say, what's the base and the length? You'd say this is 8. Now, are you going to tell me this side's 20? It's not. It's 28. Okay? All right, so I got here, I'm going to fill in my base is 8, and my height is 28. All right, I got 1/2 times base times height for my triangle formula. All right, now, I don't know either of these sides. Okay, this one is unimportant because it's not the base or the height. The base and the height are always perpendicular to each other. Okay, you can see in here that this would be perpendicular. Okay, now, question is, how am I going to figure out these two sides? All right, well, if this side is 28, and this part of this whole side is 20, so from here to here is 28, and this thing is 20, this part in here must be 28 minus 20, okay, which of course is 8. All right, so I got 1/2, that side's 8. Now, don't just put or substitute 34 in here because it happens to be sitting next to this side. This length right here is not 34, okay? The whole side length is 34, but that doesn't mean you can just put 34 in there. Okay, this is 34. Well, how can I figure out what this is? Well, the question is, how long is this side? And it tells me right up here. So this is 8. So this length right here has to be 34 minus 8, okay? Or 34 with that 8 taken away is 26. So the height, or the measurement here, is 26 of the triangle. So I got 26. Okay, from here it's a simple matter of multiplication, but you got to get the right numbers in there. Okay, 8 times 28 is 224, I believe. And 1/2 times 8 times 26, well, 1/2 times 8 is 4, and 4 times 26 is 104. When I add those together, that's 328, and I have 328 square inches. And that is my answer. So please make sure when you're doing this particular type of problem, A, write the plan. I don't want to see this. Some of you guys just show that, and then it's wrong, and then we can't help you because we have no idea what you did. Secondly, make sure you're figuring out these sides of the triangles. Don't lazily just throw in whatever number is closest to that side. Secondly, don't forget this step here where you multiply by 1/2. Some of you guys are putting 8 times 26 in there, and you're just leaving it there. Okay, do 8 times 26. That's why I don't like this formula, okay, because too many people just do the base times height and then forget to divide by 2. Whereas if you write the 1/2 out front here, I find that most kids do 1/2 times one of the numbers, is generally one of the even numbers. So I do 1/2 times 8, that's 4, and then 4 times 26 is 104, okay? And a lot of you guys are just forgetting to divide by 2, and this ends up being 208, so the number ends up being way too big. Thank you. Give it an honest, fair shot.